On A to Z Sports Morning, we got a special guest because we got a special weekend and a special game on Saturday. Tennessee hosting Ole Miss, the return of Lane Kiffin. So we have former Vol quarterback Jonathan Crompton joining us. And let's just say Crompton knows the little thing about Lane Kiffin. And so we're going to get an inside scoop. We're going to talk about this game. A lot of points are going to be scored. I'm actually heading to Knoxville to go to this game and will be in attendance, so I'm excited about that. But on the docket today, I'm really excited about this question because there's so many different facets. But one of the things that we're going to talk about is the biggest threat to impact the outcome. Is it the Vols offense, Vols defense, Ole Miss offense, or the Ole Miss defense? You got four choices. We'll pick through those. Then we'll pick Jonathan Crompton's brain on Lane Kiffin and what makes him so good and what has made him so successful, as he has Ole Miss, the 13th best team in the country. And that's a pretty quick turnaround of what Lane has been able to do. We'll also go through and predict the game, who wins, Ole Miss or Tennessee. The line has moved a couple of times that I've seen, so we'll talk about that. And ain't that good news? What is your good news this week? So start thinking about what your good news. Crompton, what's going on? If you would, please tell the fine folks watching and listening at home where they can share the broadcast.
Well, first off, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. Share now to Facebook. As Zach says, sharing is caring. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, everywhere. Go download the apps. Follow us all, A to Z Sports. Like I said, sharing is caring. I watch it on Facebook when I'm not on the show. So everybody go click that share now button. Enjoy the show, and let's have a good one.
There we go. Let's get it officially started. Welcome to A to Z Sports. I'm Zach Bingham. He is Jonathan Crompton, and we have you covered today, and we are powered officially by BetMGM. They are the king of sports books. You can download their app and use the promo code ATOZ Sports. They got you hooked up there. Also, our presenting sponsors, got to give them some credit because they make the world go round here on A to Z Sports on these mornings. Mandu, the pulse of fitness, 15 minutes a day. That emulates 5 hours of working out. It is amazing. It can change your life. I do it every week. Austin does it every week. Look at mandu.com and search for a location near you. Wilson County Hyundai, right down the road in Nashville, where they have you covered too. They have your perfect make and model at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjoint.com. In Franklin, they have state-of-the-art facilities. They have premier doctors that can help you get back ready and back healthy. And also Renters Warehouse, renterswarehouse.com, the professional landlords here in Nashville. If you're renting out a property, have them be your landlord, and instead of doing all of the work yourself. We got you covered here on a Friday. Crompton, let's just set the tone of this show. How are you feeling heading into tomorrow's game, Vols versus Ole Miss?
Honestly, really good. I think Tennessee fans will really like this fact. You may not, actually. And the reason why is because I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a pretty fast come up to 13th in the nation, and it's not like they have a better roster than we do, just from top to bottom. So in all honesty, to me, is a lot of it hype, possibly, as far as their ranking. So I'm feeling really good because our offense is clicking, playing well enough to do what we got to do to put up points, averaging the past couple games over 50. So I'm very excited going into it. And like I said, bottom line is, I played for Lane. I love Lane, but my allegiance is with Tennessee, and I'm kind of skeptical on the 13th ranking. I really am.
Well, that's interesting. Let's talk about we'll get to Ole Miss here in a second. I'm curious about, how do you think Tennessee has played the last 2 weeks? Because, they have been pretty much lights out. I think that a lot of people started to notice Tennessee over the last 2 weeks against Missouri and South Carolina, and the points that they've been able to score and the leads they've been able to accrue.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you look at the numbers, Missouri, South Carolina, 53.5 points a game. All right, first off, when's the last time Tennessee's done that, right? Those are, and everybody can go, oh, well, that's Missouri and South Carolina. Well, yeah, that's the numbers that you should put up, and we did put up. So I'm excited because bottom line is Josh Heupel, he has these kids playing well, playing together at the right time, and especially leading into a game of this magnitude, mainly because of Lane Kiffin. But this is going to be an exciting one. It's going to be an offensive juggernaut, though, from my random opinion. I just think this might be one of the highest scoring games of the year.
So, Crompton, what have you seen Heupel do over the last 2 weeks to change this offense? Is it more about them settling in? Is it the play of Hendon Hooker? Is it the scheme? Watching those two games, I mean, it doesn't feel like this is the same team that played Florida or Pitt.
It is definitely not. And we kind of talked about this with Charlie on the halftime and postgame show a few weeks ago. It's a big what if, and we all like what ifs because we know we can't change it. But what if Hendon was a starter from day one? Like, named the guy, not, hey, somebody gets hurt, but you're named the guy. Is Florida, now we may not win, but is the outcome a little different in how we feel with how we play? Because the confidence level, knowing, hey, you are full-blown number one QB, all right, does that change? Do we beat Pitt? So there's a lot of really good optimism behind the program right now. There really is, because what Heupel's doing, from my opinion, is he's putting Hooker in positions to get the ball out of his hands quick, get into a rhythm, and play a quasi 2-minute drill. That's why we're averaging over 80 plays a game. Where at that point, the thinking kind of gets taken out of it. And that sometimes is a good thing, because every quarterback, I don't care who you are, can overthink things in certain situations. Right? When you take that out, you help a player.
Yeah, and look, I think that I've been impressed where it is, and I guess it shouldn't be that big of a surprise that it has taken maybe a few weeks. You talked about the quarterback situation, and that is big, right? Finding the guy that can manage and to lead your offense. I mean, I think Hooker has done more than manage. I mean, with 13 touchdowns and only one interception, he's led. Now, lesser opponents, Missouri's not the same team that I think we saw last year, and South Carolina has some big-time problems.
Big.
This is Florida. We all know what happened after that. Callaway dropped the ball on fourth down. That kind of changed the entire dynamic of that game. And, sometimes in football, one play can do that. And that happened in that regard. But now they face an Ole Miss team that gives up a lot of points, gives up a lot of yards, but they also score a lot of points and score a lot of and get a lot of yards. This is kind of the perfect timing of what I think everybody thought was going to be when Josh Heupel was signed at Tennessee.
Yeah.
They looked at this game. They said, wow, fireworks. These two teams are going to put up a ton of points. And I think we've kind of come to the tipping point over the last couple of weeks with Ole Miss and Tennessee, and here we are. The question we're going to ask, though, to the viewers, the fans, and you, Crompton, the biggest threat to impact the outcome of this game, is it the Vols offense, the Vols defense, or Ole Miss's offense, or Ole Miss's defense? We're going to get into that. Comment in the comment section what you guys think. But first, I am going to tell you guys about Mandu, the pulse of fitness. They have you covered. Your first workout is absolutely free. 15 minutes, that's all it takes. It is a brand new revolutionary way to look at working out, and it is awesome. They've got locations popping up everywhere. You got 4 right here in Nashville, the Nashville area. They've got them popping up in Memphis, Chicago, Texas. They have you covered. But right here in Nashville, your first workout is absolutely free. Go in there and try it out. Once you try it out, I truly believe that it will change your life and your lifestyle, and you'll get in better shape, be healthier, and that's a great thing. Is I like to say going into plumping season, as you got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, you got New Year's. I mean, that you gotta eat, but also you gotta work out. Mandu's got you covered. Crompton, tell the fine folks about BetMGM.
BetMGM, guys, go download the app today. Get some parlays going, have a good time. Download the BetMGM app, risk-free bet up to $1,000. Promo code, very easy to remember, A to Z Sports. All right, I've got it downloaded on my phone. I'm going to go try to play some parlays tonight. Once again, BetMGM, risk-free up to $1,000, A to Z Sports promo code.
All right, let's ask the question and get your opinion here. Before we get to this question, Crompton, I want to ask you a quick question leading into this game. And this is Lane Kiffin. Does he have something more on his shoulders for this game? Is this does it mean more? Last week we had the storylines of Alabama and him trying to knock off Nick Saban as a former assistant. Ends up Jimbo did that, which is kind of crazy. But is this more? Is there more to this game for Lane, or do you think he's just going in there and treating it like another game?
That's that's a really good question. I hadn't really thought of it that way. I wouldn't necessarily say that there is more, but there could be more in the sense of we all know he loves to be on Twitter. Right? It's fun to watch him tweet about random things and rat poison this and tweet about Nick Saban and tag Vol football, right? The backlash / really funny comments that could happen if we go out here and just beat their ass, excuse my French, could be in the back of his mind. Is it? I don't know. But it has the ability to just be lingering right back there. You know what I mean? Because he does have fun with it. He pokes the bear a lot. He's going to take a lot of heat if he loses this game. So once again, I don't know if he's thinking of it because most really good coaches don't, but this one's a little different. I know it's been over a decade, but he's been poking the bear for a few years about coming back and playing.
Yeah. And I'll be curious about the atmosphere, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that here later on in the show. The question that we're asking you guys, biggest threat to impact the outcome, Vols offense, Vols defense, Ole Miss offense, or Ole Miss defense. Aaron comes in and says Ole Miss defense. Gavin says stopping the run for both teams will be key because they've been able to run pretty effectively and efficiently this season in the SEC. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and give my answer real quick, Jonathan Crompton, because the title of the show is the Vols exploiting this one thing to beat Ole Miss. Yep. And I think the exploitation of the Ole Miss defense is the key to this game. I think that decides if Tennessee can win. There's a reason why Ole Miss is favored. There is a reason why they're 13th in the country, right? You have a first-year head coach instead of Lane Kiffin, who's had a couple of years now that to kind of get his philosophy down. He had all of last year to come in there and figure things out. This year, he's starting off hot. But the defense, Lane Kiffin criticized the Ole Miss defense. That was the first thing he said in a sideline question after that Arkansas game. We played terrible on defense. It wasn't what a game. That was unbelievable. All-timer, the yards, all the overtime, all that stuff. The possibility of overtime. I think the Ole Miss defense, if Tennessee can do what they have done against Missouri and South Carolina for all 4 quarters, I think they can win this game. I think they can outduel Ole Miss. But if Ole Miss's defense has figured something out to get just a smidge better, I think that those possessions of stopping them on 3rd and 4th down, because there's going to be a lot of 4th down calls in Saturday's game. Heupel's going for 4th downs. Lane Kiffin, it doesn't matter if you're on your own 30 or on the opposing 30. They're going for it. Yeah. So it's those stops. I think that Tennessee's offense can exploit the defense of Ole Miss and win this game, and I think that is the key.
I don't disagree, but I'm looking at the comments and I haven't seen my answer yet. I'm going Tennessee's defense. The reason why, Ole Miss is averaging 561 yards a game on offense, right? We have to stop that. So we have to, and if you look at that number, you're going, oh, that's staggering, right? Notice how many big plays or what they call explosive plays over 20 yards in the pass game are per game. We have to take that away and exploit their every play or, every down play of their dinking and dunking, because they don't throw the ball deep a lot. But when they do it effectively, right? Last week, he only threw it as like 21 or 23 times, somewhere in that range, against Arkansas. It's not like they're out here and he's the Heisman frontrunner this year. Side note, mind-boggling, because the Heisman frontrunner is not throwing it more than 25 times a game. Okay. That's just side note right there. But bottom line is, if we just stay and do your 1/11th of your job on defense and keep the ball in front and don't let them get behind you, Ole Miss can't get 500 yards of offense. They don't get 500 yards of offense. They don't get the ball, or they don't get in the end zone, because we're going to have the ball because we get them off the field. You're right. There's going to be a ton of fourth down calls this week, I bet. But if you go back and watch Ole Miss play, they live and die by the trick or play deep ball on offense. They don't consistently throw post routes. They don't consistently throw, dig post or just straight up go routes. They do it at certain times, right? Little, everybody calls sluggo, slant and go. Pump over here, I'm throwing a slant and go back there. Those gimmick type plays is what they live by. So our defense has to exploit that to keep them out of the end zone, because we're still averaging 474 yards of offense a game. So if our defense can do that, we've got a really, really, really good shot of keeping them out of the end zone. You keep them out of the end zone, you win the ball game.
Yeah, not a lot of people have been able to keep him out of the end zone. Now,
no, and you're
Alabama
right on that.
Alabama did for the first half. And if you watch Alabama Ole Miss first half, which I feel like that's kind of what everybody watched the first half, they stopped watching the second half, right? It's 28-0.
Yeah.
That game should have been 21-7. It shouldn't have been 28-0. That was Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin put his team in a position to be down by 28 instead of 14. And I think 14 points, you can come back and get back into the game at Alabama. 28, you're done. Nick Saban's not going to allow that. I think that for Ole Miss, if they come out there and this is, I know, being said, and I think Knoxville, the people around Knoxville and Tennessee fans know this. I don't think the SEC as a whole in today's age, and Crompton, you know this better than anybody, Neyland is a home field advantage when it is at its best. I think tomorrow it will be at its best.
I think what you said kind of just, I had to look, I pulled up just to be safe. Because Matt Corral, last year was his first year really starting, right?
Yeah, consistently.
Nope, nobody in the stands. This year, Louisville, neutral site
game. Nobody was in Atlanta.
But neutral site game. Austin Peay, Tulane, Arkansas at home. Only game he's ever started on the road in a loud environment. Alabama, he only threw for 213 yards. I can tell you from firsthand experience, Neyland gets one of the top 3 or 4 loudest in the country when that place is rocking, especially at nighttime and especially after everybody's had their cocktails for tailgating. So that's an advantage for us, right? Bottom line, he's only had one true SEC full stadium road game in a 2-year or a year and a half span. So how is he going to react to that? Because I promise you, Alabama gets loud, but dude, when Neyland gets rocking, it is deafening. Like just absolutely.
It shakes.
I have witnessed the day that I committed. The reason why I committed was watching, and I saw we were playing Georgia in pregame. You could look up, and it was like you could see the top of the stadium just doing this because it was so loud in freaking pregame. So if that atmosphere is there tomorrow, Ole Miss is going to have a really tough time communicating, really tough time getting the snap count, a couple penalties. They're averaging, 10 penalties a game, somewhere in that range. You get them to 10 plus, and our defense gets a little bit of confidence, watch out.
You're going to see a lot of claps to get the snap.
Yep, but
so you can't even hear the cat clap sometimes.
Sometimes you're kind of going off of rhythm. So if you get into and you watch all these teams, like Florida. Florida is always, that's it. Well, they bluffed it twice in the game. I am 100% willing to give up a total of 10 yards on 2 5-yard penalties to get 2 sacks. Right?
What was the loudest stadium you played in?
The loudest?
Yeah, that gave you the most trouble to execute the offense, right? Because I think that's kind of what we're talking about Corral.
Yeah,
I think you brought up a good point going back and looking at Corral's history, and it's just been by happenstance because of COVID, but he hasn't played in a place like Neyland will be tomorrow.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, Neyland is a different animal when we're winning, and especially night games for everybody are different, obviously. But when we're winning and our fans are confident and they love going and they're having a good time, dude, it is a different animal. Like you watch Miami on TV and you go, dude, no offense, that's a high school game. Like that's a high school game. You know what I mean? You're like, it's not loud. There's nobody there. You watch some of these teams and then you watch Penn State and you're like, yeah. You watch Michigan and you're like, yeah. But then you turn on Neyland at night and you go, I have some explicits that I can't say of what you really think. Just being honest. And you go, it's different. It's just different. So, but back to you think the loudest place that we played, I mean, everywhere it was Florida's loud. Auburn for only having like 80-something thousand is really loud. Surprisingly, Georgia's not that loud. And as good as Georgia's been consistently, it's really not that bad of a place to play in. I actually remember I fell asleep at a recruiting visit during the game against South Carolina. That's how unimpressive it was. No lie. I swear to God I did. So at that point, I was like, well, I'm not going to Georgia. I fell asleep at your game. Right. And so to answer the question, I saw, did I play in Death Valley? No, that was the year I redshirted from shoulder surgery, and that was Katrina. So we flew down the same day and flew back. But we played them at home. And the 2-year flop didn't match back up to go back to LSU.
Yeah. My older sister went to Tennessee. So I got to experience when I was in high school, going to visit. And I cannot think of the year just because now I'm aged and that was a long time ago. But LSU Tennessee in Neyland, it was the loudest stadium I had ever been a part of. Yeah. I was sitting up high, and I feel like that amplifies it even more because, I mean, the stadium does shake. I mean, you're the underneath you. I mean, it's not steady. At least back in the day, it wasn't. I don't know if they've helped that or improved that, but here's something Lane Kiffin said this week. I'm going to play this video, Compton. Lane Kiffin, we're going to get a chance to get to know Lane Kiffin based on maybe your relationship because you played under him and you know him. Is this Lane Kiffin being Twitter Lane Kiffin and trying to shade and troll, or is he being authentic here?
We got a lot of work to do and getting ready for a challenging place to play. That someone said on the way in, is on schedule to be their first sellout in years. So very loud place, especially at night, and a team that's playing extremely well. 2 conference blowouts in a row and lighting up on offense. So this is going to be extremely challenging.
The first sellout in years.
Dude, it's funny you brought that up. I told my mom and my wife about that. I was like, because I would say it's 50-50. And then he tweeted a thing about, 5 things you can do to better your own life. And number 3 was get over the past. Right. And it just so happened it was Tennessee week. Like he does things to do that. Like he's having fun with it. Right. And he is. And I think that's part of his, we'll get into that in a little bit, I guess.
But do you think that, I mean, he's strategic.
He's like very strategic. Because what he's trying to do is he's trying to rile up the fans, right? And he's trying to, in behind closed doors, everybody's against us, right? We're going into a hostile environment. Everybody's against us. We got to have each other's back, blah, blah, blah. That's what a good coach does, right? But I think a lot of it is to just kind of take a little jab, little hot iron right there in the ribs. Nothing major, but I think that really more so than him really caring that they're playing in a hostile environment. Because I would be curious, did he say that about Alabama?
He was more like, let's get your popcorn ready. Like
exactly.
These little phrases that
I see this comment that says Corral hasn't played in a stadium with fans is such a horrible take. Well, actually not, because otherwise you wouldn't take 2 periods a day at practice and work on silent count and have crowd noise. And they wouldn't call it home field advantage for a reason.
Yeah, I don't think that's a terrible point at all. I think that I don't think anybody's talking about the impact of what that could have.
Yeah, it's just that's one of those things that at practice you legit turn on the loudest crowd noise you can during a couple periods a day, and you have to practice against it. If it wasn't an issue, you wouldn't do that, right? And if you turn it on, kind of as loud as the stadium is supposed to be, depending on who you're playing. Little shot at Vandy, no crowd noise. Didn't have to practice it, right? Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I mean, it's the truth. I mean, Vandy is so bad.
Vandy had to work on crowd noise when we played at Vandy.
God.
My bad. I'm sorry, guys.
I bet. Hey, well, look, they're down, and Clark Lee's got his work cut out for him, and they took a massive step back from any sort of momentum they had against Tennessee. I think that the Tennessee-Vandy rivalry, I think is over in the sense that Tennessee just stole all the stuff back.
Yeah.
With hiring Heupel and Vandy hiring Clark Lee.
Yeah.
Two hires that completely flipped to, let's just face it, how the rivalry should go. Tennessee should always beat Vandy, and that hasn't been the case in the last 10 years. I think it will go back to being the case in the next 10.
Here's the thing. I hope for the state of Tennessee's sake, I hope Vandy does get better. I don't know if they hired the right guy, but only time will tell. We also said that about Arkansas last year, or at least I did. And I was like, I'm not a big fan of this hire. I was wrong. I'm hoping because you want it to be a good game. You want that rivalry. You do. It's fun to have that rivalry. So I hope they get back to being able to be competitive. I really do. It's more fun as a fan to watch, right? Then you kind of get to see where the recruits from the Nashville kind of Middle Tennessee area really want to go. It's just right now it's disheartening because you know the time they put into it. You know what I mean? Like as a player and as a coach, and especially the time fans put into this stuff. And for it not to go that way, it really sucks. But I'm going to tell you, in baseball, stay out of the way because they're really, really good.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are. So let's get to know Lane Kiffin because, the question that I'm going to ask you, and look, I'd be curious to see the comment section to say what makes Lane Kiffin so good. And he's been a really good assistant, but I think he's really starting to show his colors of being a really good head coach. And I'll eat some crow because for the longest time, I didn't like Lane Kiffin. I didn't like how he acted. And then all of a sudden he becomes my coach. I mean, I went to Ole Miss, so you're kind of forced to like him. Look, I cheer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There was a point in my life where I was cheering for Greg Schiano. So football will make you do some strange things. I'll tell you that. Fans,
stop admitting that.
Well, hey, Tennessee fans rooted for Butch Jones for 4 or 5 years. So, there is that. But what makes Lane Kiffin so good? I want to get into that. But first, I want to tell the fine folks about Wilson County Hyundai. Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next ride. Quick trip down I-40, exit 236. They have you covered. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. They've got inventory, whether it's the Sonata, the Elantra, the Santa Fe, or the brand new 2021 Palisade. Family style. I'm talking about the SUV that can change your life, your wife's mood. That's a big part. In the carpool line, you're not going to have to worry about the minivan. You've got a brand new 2021 Palisade at a great price. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
All right, guys, BetMGM, right? Everybody likes to play a little blackjack, bet on a little football, baseball, right? Download the BetMGM app today. Free risk up to $1,000. Promo code A to Z Sports.
Yes, and make sure that if you do visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions, must be 21 years old or older, must be present in Tennessee, and for gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. All right, it's a very basic question that I think has a lot of levels and layers, but Crompton, what makes Lane Kiffin so good?
I think you kind of started it best. This is like an onion almost. And I say onion meaning because it can make some people cry right off the bat. A little, sour. You know what I mean? Sour.
Well, yeah.
taste.
Well, what are you talking about? Are you referencing going to Tennessee for a year and doing pretty good and then leaving after that season to go to USC? Is that kind of what
I
you're
was
referencing?
trying to be creative, but yeah, there you go. But so there's a lot of layers to Lane himself, and especially as a football coach, right? At the time when he got hired, he was the youngest head coach, right? He was first off, he was the youngest head coach hired in the NFL with Oakland. Then he comes to Tennessee, youngest head coach. He was very immature, right? I mean, he admitted that. So he was very immature. But what makes him so good now is, well, first off, he's got to prove it as a head coach. I've seen a couple comments, and they're not wrong. And like you said, he's been a hell of a play caller, but he's never really done it consistently as a head coach, right? You can argue FAU, but that's also at FAU, level competition, right? So the biggest thing is he's got to be able to do it, but he in-game adjusts better than anybody, right? I mean, he truly does. Go back and watch him when he was at Alabama and watch him on the sidelines legitimately looking at the quarterback and telling them where to throw the ball because they did an in-game adjustment and it was going to be open. Next thing you know, Amari Cooper's running down the sideline wide open. He does those things really well. He has the players back. He has their back. So, like, kind of a quick story about myself with him. We're playing UCLA, right? We run a play called sluggo seam. And I mentioned the word sluggo earlier. It's just a slant and a go. Hence the word seam. Run a seam route backside and a hitch. Depending on the coverage, depends on where you want to go with the ball. Okay, and I won't get into all that detail. But at the time, I was like, dude, the field corner, he's playing cover 4. Means he's dropping deep. I'm taking the hitch. Moving on, taking the hitch. Because if cover 4, the sluggo's dead. So I drop back, do what you're supposed to do. I throw the hitch and I was like, oh, explicit. Corner played cover 2. I didn't confirm it. That's on me. Threw an interception. So we get into the media, and he puts his hand back and goes, I'm going first. And he goes into the media room. And there's a curtain. I don't know if it's still that way now, but there was a curtain where you couldn't see who was next, blah, blah, blah. And before he took a question, he goes, hey, if anybody asks a question on this certain interception, you'll never be allowed back in here again. That was my fault. I didn't game plan good enough. I should have known they were going to play this certain coverage in this part of the field, and they did, and I didn't do my job. That's on me. On to questions. Comes off, and he goes, listen, you know what happened? We talked about it. We're going to correct this later with a few explicits. Don't do it again. As the player, when that happens, you go, oh, you know what? I want to play for this dude.
With trust. You
exactly.
trust.
So that's the stuff that he does well. And so the in-game adjusting is just that next level, right? That next layer of that onion, as I call it, where when you do that to a player, and I'm sure he's done it outside of when he was at Tennessee to ex-players. Notice if you go back and watch him, he always takes the blame in post-game press conferences, like when it comes to schematics. Now, you can't, if the players aren't playing hard enough, blah, blah, blah. Like you said, Ole Miss defense didn't play well enough. That's fine. And he said that. But it wasn't that he was pointing out players, right? He didn't say so-and-so number whatever didn't play good. He always refers to it as a group effort and starts with the coaching staff. And that's what, and then behind closed doors, it ain't that way. You're going to correct it. You're going to fix it. And you're going to get better from it because he makes sure that a mistake doesn't happen again. That's why everywhere he goes, these players want to play hard for him. And that's why he's been a very successful play caller on the offensive side of the ball. Now he's just trying to do it as the head coach. And given time, I think he can, as long as you can get the recruits in there.
Yeah, and that will be a big thing. You brought something up, and I was thinking about, you kind of described the foundation of a coach and a coach in any sport, which is recognizing a mistake that the players do not recognize, informing the player of said mistake, and then working together to correct that mistake. Yeah. And that's kind of what you embodied is it takes somebody to recognize it, right? A football mind. And nobody has ever doubted Lane Kiffin's football mind. That guy is football smart. What has gotten him in trouble is I think obviously his personality and his off-field situations where the mistakes, some guys are really good in between the lines. And I think Lane Kiffin, he has this dry personality that you like I can't even I like to say I'm a pretty good read of people because I'm an extrovert. I will talk to anybody. I will test anybody. I interview people that want to work for us, and I ask them hard-ass questions, and I try to get to know who they are. Are you a sales guy? Are you a writer? Or do you have passion for what you want to do? Like I can get that out of somebody if you give me 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Damn it, I don't think if I talked to Lane Kiffin for 15 minutes, I would know who the hell that guy was. And that is a mystery to me.
It's like talking to Jerry Seinfeld. Like very dry sense of humor, funny as hell, but did you get anywhere? Like he's almost like a stand-up comedian, and he's waiting on Twitter to laugh. Like legit. I don't know any other way of putting that. Like after you described it, that was spot on. It just he's very serious in certain situations when he's supposed to be, but he's going to keep the mood light. But it's one of those like, was that a joke?
But he's so football smart, you trust him because that's why he's there.
And I've said the story this week, or I guess last week, really, but leading up to this week about the second play of South Carolina my senior year. Dude told me the whole week they were going to play cover zero. The second play, keyword second, not first, right? Not first third down, not first time in the red zone. Second play, and I'm like, yeah, but what if we're backed up? And he's like, dude, they're running cover zero. And I'm like, how the hell do you know that? Like, how do you know that? You know what I mean? And it still boggles me today. And I'm like, what kind of sorcery are you using to know that the second play? Now, it could have been just a hunch, and it could have been one of those that's like, oh, hey, I'm going all in on black on roulette. I'm just all in. Screw red, screw green, all in on black. It could be something like, I don't know. But it worked out, and I was like, okay, so can't really doubt him. It worked. It played out to a T.
I mean, it's hard to doubt him. And look, I think I know people around Ole Miss and Oxford, and that is just like every SEC college, right? It is, you're not in the big city. You're not in New York, LA, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville. You're not in that.
Yep.
This is, they bleed and die for their team. And there's some mixed feelings about Lane Kiffin in Oxford.
No.
They love that he wins, but these Southern Mississippi, let's just call them what they are, old folks, they don't like his personality. They don't like what he does to rile up Twitter and to get attention. But what do you take? I think they take winning over all the other, surrounding
he says, like I said before, December 1st of 2008, when we had the first team meeting with him, he straight up said to everybody, he was very honest. He goes, listen, when spring practice comes, some of you won't be here. You're going to want to transfer because we're going to work our rear ends off and we're going to do what we got to do and understand any publicity, keyword any publicity is good publicity at this moment, right? Ole Miss was kind of in the same boat when he got that job in the sense of scandal, right? Then you kind of hire within, not really having the success, right? So they were, for all intents and purposes, they were kind of in the same boat of like, not really a lot of good publicity going on in Oxford at the time. So I would almost be willing to bet, right? BetMGM, here we go. That if this was a parlay or something, and I put this on there, that he said the exact same thing at Ole Miss when he got the job. Any publicity is good publicity because we've got to get people thinking Ole Miss football.
So I want to parlay that comment into something a little bit bigger. We're going to predict the game here shortly, but what do you think Lane Kiffin's ceiling is at Ole Miss? And do you think he will stay at Ole Miss? It's a two-part question.
I swear to you, I was just about to ask you a question about staying, and then you do this. The ceiling, I think,
you were playing cover zero. I knew you were playing cover zero. That's why I did.
There you go. Love it. Love it. The ceiling for most places is as good as your program will allow you to be. If that makes sense, like how much are they willing to spend on recruiting? How much are they willing to allow these coaches to get these players, blah, 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 right? Alabama pretty much got unlimited deep pockets. Tennessee, we got pretty much unlimited deep pockets. I don't know enough about Ole Miss to understand and know if they're willing to give that to say, hey, do what you got to do to get the recruits, but don't buy, don't go get hookers like we were doing, or don't go do hookers, like, I don't know if that scarred them enough, honestly, like from the money people to allow him to give him that free reign and, kind of loosen that leash. I don't know.
Because name, image, and likeness, I think that opens up the door, right? Where that, saying matters less, but it kind of matters less because you can pay players in some regard now, right?
Yes. So the question is, how much are like, dude, and I said this on the show a few weeks ago, businesses in Knoxville are 100% willing to open up their pockets and go, first off, tax write-off. Let's do that. I got to have X amount of money written off. Boom, boom. Okay. We're going to give it to said recruit coming in because we want him here badly. If you come in, we will do this. Dude, they're giving away free cookies for an interception. Right? All the ingredients that they make for these cookies, guarantee you, they have written down. And that's a tax write-off. So, yeah, it's great. Like, random things like that, obviously you need to give the player money for him to really come. But can Oxford, and I don't know this answer, can Oxford, like businesses in the surrounding area, because I know Memphis is not that far away, entice these players to come enough to Oxford to be able to have, like, because if it's me, the first thing that I'm doing is I'm contacting FedEx. I'm saying, hey, FedEx, how much do you need to write off a year? I got X players that we need to get in town. I got these recruits. What can we do to partner these players with you to get them paid to come to Oxford? That's what I would do.
Because of the college football playoff expansion on the horizon, right? That's going to happen. Can Lane Kiffin compete for a national championship?
I don't think so.
Can Josh Heupel?
I truly don't think so.
At Ole Miss?
Yes. Can Heupel? Yes.
So it's more of an Ole Miss thing than a Tennessee.
I think, and I think it's, and obviously, yeah, it has to do with SEC East and West, but for forever of time, Alabama's not going to be this good. You know what I mean? For forever time, Georgia and Florida and Auburn, we're, like whatever. We at Tennessee, we just have more resources. The brand, when they see that T, right? There's a reason why Texas and Tennessee have a split in the country about the T. Everybody recognizes the T. You know what I'm saying? Like full blown. And that's just like the SC at Southern Cal or the U, right? Everybody recognizes those brands. So our brand recognition is just a lot higher. That's one of the reasons why we have the ability to be able to compete. Now, not right this second, no. But let's call it like it is. Nobody expected Nick Saban to compete at Alabama when he first got that job.
Yeah, well, people have amnesia.
Alabama fans, all these Alabama homers can come in and go, oh, yeah, we did. No, the hell you didn't. Yeah, okay, they recognize the T, but it didn't mean that much. Why do you think nobody, when I was coming out, wanted to go to Alabama? Because everybody was like, dude, it's just Bama. It's just Alabama. They're very subpar. Right?
Which is crazy to think about.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, but now you got to think this was also in 03, 04, 05. So it's like it wasn't. They were good, but it was like, dude, it's just Alabama, right? It wasn't the U. It wasn't, oh, dude, that's Miami. Now it's just Miami, right? So to me, has the program ever been there or there? If it's always been kind of here, which is kind of what Ole Miss has done. Mississippi State the same way, right? Kentucky.
But now they have, but here's the difference. I think you've said, here's where I disagree. And this is probably coming from a biased Ole Miss person. And I'm calling myself that. But here's where I'm at. I think that the stars have aligned where Ole Miss can actually, for once, compete for a national championship in the next 5 years, let's say, because Lane Kiffin, I think, is less likely to go to another place because of the expansion of the college football playoff, which opens up more spots to compete for a national championship. Texas and Oklahoma are coming to the SEC. So it will be lateral movement. SEC is the best conference in the country. I'm not saying anything anybody else already knows, but that also helps Lane Kiffin. You're already here in the house, okay? Why do you want to go to another room? And you brought up the most important part. Will Ole Miss pay to make Kiffin happy, not only in his pocketbook, but the program, right? Will they fund the program to get it on a level? And what is Ole Miss's ceiling? I think Ole Miss's ceiling was a lot lower 3 years ago prior to Texas and OU coming to town, and the college football playoff being cash strapped because of COVID, now probably going to expand to 12 teams because they need to be more profitable than ever. So the tournament's larger. And if you get in the tournament, I think Lane Kiffin can out-coach several teams.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, okay? In the sense of you can't win it if you're not in, right? Because you can't. That goes for anything. You can't win it if you're not in. San Francisco Giants, you can't win it now, right? Sorry. Never mind. I won't tell everybody how I was going to.
Die-hard Dodger right there. Hey, it was a big win last night for you.
But, because you're right. You can't win it if you're not in. But that is a big but. Can you consistently get the players in at Ole Miss? Will the donors allow you to do what you got to do to get these players in? I don't think they'll allow that.
Don't they want to play for Kiffin?
No, but that's not the point. Bottom line is now with the NIL, how are those teams going to be able to compete with the Tennessees, the Southern Cals, the Alabamas? It hurts me to say it's the Auburns. But the thing is, I don't know how much Florida will be able to do that because I don't know their demographic down there with being able to try to help with local businesses. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, how can an Ole Miss compete with that? That's the reason why I brought up FedEx, because I know its headquarters is in Memphis. So it's like that, to me, that's your biggest advantage. But I don't know for sure if that can happen. And kind of what Jeff Rubel said is Tennessee, if you look at their history, they're only really good and competing when other major powers are down. Dude, that's for anybody.
Yeah, Vandy was competing when Florida and Georgia were down when James Franklin was the coach.
Let's go to Florida State. When's the last time they were good? Oh, wait, that means everybody else was down, right? North Carolina was down. Clemson was down. That works that way for everybody. I understand the comment, but I'm gonna disagree because everybody has. If you're a major program, keyword major, you're going to be there, and then things are going to happen, and then they're going to start going to Florida State. They're going to start going to Miami. They're going to start going to Southern Cal, right? And then you're going because everybody bitched and moaned when Pete Carroll got the job at Southern Cal. Don't forget that. Everybody complained when Pete Carroll got that job at Southern Cal because he was a two-time fired NFL head coach. He was used goods. Nobody wanted him, right? So all these people trying to say, well, I don't think Heupel can be that guy. Nobody wanted Pete Carroll. Look what he did. He changed the perception of Southern Cal forever in the 2000s.
Well, he cheated, but
do you think Nick Saban's not cheating?
No,
they all are. What I'm saying? Like I hate to say it. It is what it is. Urban Meyer always fakes a heart attack before he gets in trouble. Jacksonville Hospital probably has a room waiting for when his heart suddenly goes out again, right? Because he can't cheat and get these guys paid under the table because they're all making more than he is.
Well, you got to really define what cheat is with Urban.
I mean, and that's just my opinion. Is like, so I guess long story short, I don't know if Ole Miss can compete for the national title, but I know who could. And this kind of leads in that second part of would he leave? What happens with Coach O? Because LSU got deep pockets.
So you would say, so if they fire Coach O, Lane Kiffin to go to LSU?
No, I'm not saying he would. I'm just saying, but if you're LSU, do you call him? I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely got to look at the teams above Ole Miss. I'm not naive enough to say that Lane Kiffin's going to stay at Ole Miss forever, right? That's stupid. But I do think that there's more likely of a chance that he's not just a bridge coach to a better job anymore because of the circumstances. But if Alabama becomes available, if LSU becomes available, if it looks like Oklahoma and Texas are going to be pretty stand pat over the next 5 years, right? Lincoln Riley ain't going anywhere, and Sark so far has looks good. Texas, you never know.
What Ole Miss needs is a guy like Stoops at Kentucky, right? That can come in and take a typically, keyword typically.
But Stoops is probably going to leave after this year.
Well, but think of how long he's been there and look what he's done with that program.
Kentucky football is a little brother
program in a better shape, where now they can get a higher tiered guy than they would have got if he left 3-4 years ago.
But I think Stoops is the little brother within the program to Kentucky basketball. Ole Miss football is the biggest brother within the program. So I do think they'll find the boosters. I think it's just the boosters at Ole Miss will never compete with the big dogs of Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, Texas, and Oklahoma. You're not going to, but you may not need to if you can get on a train and kind of build something that is consistent and works. And then, oh, by the way, there's one caveat. And this is a pipe dream.
Okay.
But if Arch Manning goes to the University of Mississippi,
he's not.
Lane Kiffin stays. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm saying if, though.
He's not. Well, in my opinion. Because think about it.
We can all dream, Jonathan.
I'm with you. And it's the same thing. He's not going to go to Tennessee.
No.
Right? And the only reason why I say that, you'll never live up to Peyton's expectation at Tennessee. And do you really want to risk not living up to your grandfather and your uncle's expectation at Ole Miss?
But with Lane Kiffin, I think that you have the best case scenario to do that.
You're right.
Especially with Corral, as you referenced, he's Heisman guy.
You're right. I'm not disagreeing, but it's a big but. This is bigger than the one earlier, right? Everybody will always compare the second he gets on campus. Well, your uncle this, your granddad this. So why would you want to do that? Why not start your own legacy? The actual reason why Peyton did not go to Ole Miss. Right? He wanted to do his own thing.
At where? At Georgia, Alabama?
No, I'm with you. I'm just saying, but that's the reason why I don't think he goes to Ole Miss.
But the other options, you have other legacies, right? Georgia, you're just a kid, right? Alabama, you're another guy that.
I'm with you, but it's just the fact of it. Sometimes you would rather be another guy and be the dude because he's really freaking good, rather than always being Eli's nephew, Archie's grandson. Hey, by the way, your name's Arch. Hey, look at your granddad's name. He'll never, and Ben Hall's right. That's all he would hear. That's all he would hear at Ole Miss. That's all he'd hear at Tennessee. That's the only reason why I don't think he would go there. Do I think it'd be a good fit? Yes. But I think the other thing that legacy.
I think the other thing that probably prevents him, and I don't know this, how do the Mannings feel about Lane Kiffin? And that is something that I don't know because we know.
Good point.
We know how Archie felt about the San Diego Chargers, and we saw what happened.
A little bit,
right? So if they question Lane Kiffin or don't like his antics, Archie's not going.
No, I agree, but I can say this: this would be just a random. Once again, BetMGM. Let's make this a prop bet, right? If LSU loses this weekend and Coach O is gone, and Lane Kiffin goes to LSU, Arch Manning is an LSU Tiger.
That's
not that far fetched.
My dream turned into a nightmare right there.
My bad. I just ripped everything out of you. My bad.
But it does with Coach O. They're going to give him another year, and I know Arch has another year. Yeah, LSU does not stay down for long before change. Because the Les Miles things won't happen again.
I don't know if they give him another year. Personally, it's just an opinion. I love Coach O. I'm one of the biggest fans of Coach O. I just don't know if you can give him another year because the lack of productivity is staggering with some of the players that you've got. But, side note, the caveat to that would be they really, really, really want Max Johnson's brother, the number one tight end in the country, who's committed there. If you get rid of Coach O before the end of the year, he's probably not going to sign there, right? So maybe that is in the back of their minds that they need him, because they don't have a bona fide tight end. Dude left. He signed last year and then left. Now he's at Georgia sitting out for whatever reason. And so that might play into it. So he might get another year. I just don't think if you lose, LSU should not lose to Kentucky. Just like I keep saying, Tennessee should not lose to a Kentucky. I don't care if Kentucky 6-0, 10-0. You should not. That's my mindset. When they lost to Kentucky, I was in a group text with my dad and his buddies, and I legit said he might be gone before they land. And it wasn't. I wish they wouldn't because I love Coach O. But that's part of that business.
Coach O is trending to be more like Gene Chizik, which was a product of a very good player, Cam Newton and Joe Burrow, instead of a product of a very good head coach that can run a program consistently.
And I think that might be in the back of their minds as well. That's, that was one of the reasons why I said I didn't know if he would make it off of the plane. I really didn't. And I feel for him because I love Coach O. But, if you're a coach, you're hired to get fired. I mean, that's just the reality. You're hired to get fired.
I'm going to drop one thing before we move on to our predictions of Ole Miss, Tennessee. If not Ole Miss, I think Arch Manning takes a long, hard look at Texas.
I can see it because of Sark.
Texas is a new legacy, a big school, and a good head coach that is offensively minded, that has already shown that he's turning that program around at least now, right?
Yep.
My prediction would be Arch goes to Texas, and then the others follow suit.
I could definitely see that. I don't think he'd end up in an Alabama. I really don't. Not just for really the sole reason. I
kind of feel like it would be a traitor.
Well, yeah, but it's just more so the fact of I just don't think he's a fit for, like, personality-wise for an Alabama. Look how charismatic his whole family is, right? His dad, Cooper, is funny as hell, right? And all these commercials and how I just don't know if that kind of blends with the Alabama way. And I could be thinking too much into that.
Well, and we don't know enough about Arch, right? Like, I don't know what kind of personality he is. And he has to mature. The kid is a kid.
Exactly. So I guess what I'm getting at is I would not be surprised if Texas is a play. Major program, a lot of rich tradition, produced a lot of players. And to me, the kind of the biggest thing is it starts your own legacy. Right. That's why I don't think he ends up at Ole Miss or Tennessee. But Texas is a very intriguing place if you're a younger crew, especially offensively.
Especially them going to the SEC, possibly.
Also true.
Whenever that is, they're going. It's just a matter of when. All right, Crompton. The line started at -3 Ole Miss. I've seen it at -2.5. So that means that money, not surprisingly, there's a lot of Tennessee fans, and betting is legal. BetMGM in the state of Tennessee. The line I saw had moved to -2.5. So that kind of tells me something. Let's predict this football game. We want you guys to interact. Who wins, Ole Miss or Tennessee? It's a pick 'em in what we're doing. I just told you the line, but first I am going to tell you guys about Renter's Warehouse. Renter's Warehouse is where you need to go. Nationals professional landlords, $89 a month. That's it. They will find you a tenant for your property. They will collect the money if something goes wrong. That person is not going to call you. They're going to call Renter's Warehouse, and Renter's Warehouse is going to take care of it. They're going to be effective and efficient, and it's really a great strategy for somebody that owns a property because it's hands off, and all you do is collect the checks. That's a cash flow. So start thinking about your cash flows in your life and use Nashville's professional landlord to do it. That is renterswarehouse.com.
BetMGM, guys, kind of what we're talking about. All right, we're about to pick the game. Go ahead and download the app. Get your pick in. BetMGM, risk-free up to $1,000. Promo code A to Z Sports. Like I said, we're about to give our picks. Go ahead and download the app at BetMGM. Get ready. Go ahead and make your picks there too.
A to Z Sports, Tennessee or Ole Miss? That is the question. Tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern time, Knoxville, Neyland. Who do you got?
Oh, just right out of the bat. Obviously, I got to go Tennessee, right?
And you truly think they're going to win?
And I'm not saying that just to say it. I'm being dead serious. I truly think so because of the things that I've said where it is a hostile place to play. Right? It is a hostile place to play when it is rocking. Fans are excited, right? Bottom line. Does anybody know what is it? Over under 83? Let's go with the over, right? I think this could be a shootout because that's just what it is. Two high-powered offenses, right? Neither team can really stop anybody. But what does kind of get me is some people are saying, oh, well, Ole Miss, because Tennessee's got to prove it. When the hell has Ole Miss proved it? Truly, when have they proved that they're a legitimate team? They played Louisville.
The Arkansas win was pretty nice. It's a better win than Tennessee has all year.
Yes. Well, all right. So here's my question with Arkansas. What has Arkansas done to be a top 15 team?
They beat Texas.
And Texas also fired their coach last year. See what I'm getting at?
Texas competed with Oklahoma. Texas is good. They're not great.
And Oklahoma is a garbage undefeated team. Wake Forest is better than Oklahoma right now. And yes, I said that. Truly. Is from top to bottom team. Because Oklahoma has showed every time they played a decent team, like a legitimate team,
But Ole Miss the point is Ole Miss has proven more than Tennessee has to this point. That is the point.
Okay, well, no, not to me.
They have not proven they have not beaten Alabama or the big team, but they have proven.
So who? All I'm getting at is now Heupel's in his first year. So let's compare first year to first year. What did Lane really prove in his first year that Heupel hasn't proved?
Well, he competed with Alabama down to the wire. That's something Tennessee hasn't done in 10 years.
Yeah, and we haven't played Alabama yet, right? So I'll give you that. And once again, I always go back to they're built off of the gimmick play, right? That's just what it is. He is so good at scheming that stuff up, right? But bottom line is, are we about giving participation trophies? Just because we competed, did we win? Right? Did we beat said teams? No. Arkansas, just like they said last week after the loss. And these kids played hard. But really, hey, can't really sit here and say it was good. We lost.
So, look, you're taking Tennessee. I respect that. I think.
I'm not saying that Tennessee has arrived. That's not what I'm getting at.
No, you're just predicting the game.
I'm just sitting here saying that bottom line is Tennessee is playing better than they've played in the sense of not with all this, first round draft pick, blah, blah, blah. But they're playing together. They're playing tough. They're playing fast, right? It's no different than Ole Miss last year in his first year coming off of a fired coach with a very average program. Lane has excelled that, yes. But Heupel has excelled quicker than Lane excelled last year. That's all I'm trying to get at.
I think the difference of this game, I said Ole Miss's defense because I do believe that is the singular point on if Tennessee can win. But I think the play of the quarterbacks, right? It's going to be up to Matt Corral, who I think Crompton, he has proven that he is that dude. He has experience, maybe not in hostile environments, but I think he's proven a lot. Hendon Hooker, there's still a lot of question marks on can he compete and keep up with Ole Miss's offense. Can they've gotten leads the last two games. But you know what? South Carolina's offense blows and Missouri sucks too. So this is a different beast where it's a duel. right? It's not a
It is.
one-sided affair like the last 2 weeks have been for Tennessee.
No,
So
I'm with you.
that Hendon Hooker mistakes can cost Tennessee this game real quick. Fumbles and bad throws.
Okay, so here's
Tennessee,
my caveat. Here would be the caveat to that. One interception. There's only been, by these two starting quarterbacks, there's only been one interception thrown. Right? So, yes, has Hooker proved it? Not necessarily, but he's proven to be the best person for this program at this moment, right? He has more touchdown passes than Corral by one, but that's still more. Yeah, he has one more interception, but it's literally only one.
Corral has much more running touchdowns, but
you said like he only has one interception. So all I'm trying to get at is like the bottom line of everything is not Ole Miss is just not a better team, right? They have a lot more swag because of Lane, right? They do. They're playing fast. They're playing well. But and the reason why I say they're not just a better team is because he's only in his second year. He hasn't had a chance to recruit to get his guys in there. He's playing with the last regime's guys still, minus really one recruiting class. And Tennessee's the same way. So all I'm saying is like it's not just a crazy thing. If you look at the numbers, you take how many points their yards they're averaging on offense, yards they're giving up on defense. For both teams, there is a 2-yard difference per game. 2 yards. See what I'm saying? So everybody's saying, oh, well, Ole Miss has been better recently. The numbers don't lie. There is a 2-yard difference per game on offense and defense. And then we all know this is a team game. 2-yard difference because Ole Miss defense sucks. Just call it like it is. They're giving up a boatload of points because they are not any good. They're no better than South Carolina's defense. They're no better than Missouri's defense. They're no better than a lot of these subpar defenses. The thing that helps them is they got a very high-powered offense. All right. But we're giving up less yards a game than their average, you know what I'm saying? Like than their defense. We haven't played this caliber or offense yet. Right. So we haven't had a chance to kind of prove it. But if you want to go by those numbers, Ole Miss has played really crappy defenses. Louisville, Austin Peay, Tulane. So yeah, their numbers should be staggering. Like that's the reason why, like, when you look at it, these teams are very evenly matched. They really are. They haven't really played a juggernaut of a team, either one of them. Arkansas is a good team, but they're not there yet. I like what they're doing, but they're not there yet. So Pitt has been kind of better than we all expected after the Pitt game. So I would kind of put Arkansas and Pitt, those one game apiece, by going, okay, I get that. Yeah, Tennessee lost that one. But we also did not have our starting quarterback that we found now. That's the reason why I go, this is a lot more evenly matched, and Tennessee, to me, has the advantage because we're playing at home with the loud-ass fans that are going to let them have it.
Well, it's going to be rocking. I can't wait. I think everybody just that loves college football is looking forward to that game. It's a shame it's on SEC Network and not on ESPN or Premier Network, but people will find it. People will watch it. I got Ole Miss. Crompton, you got Tennessee. We'll find out tomorrow.
It's going to be fun either way. It really is. And you know what? Everybody go ahead and get some popcorn ready.
Right? I think popcorn will be popped in Neyland. Let's get out of here on some good news. It's Friday, and we want to hear you guys' good news. Comment in the comment section. What is your good news to end the week? It could be something that's happened to you personally, what you're doing this weekend, a good article you read. It doesn't matter. We'll get to the good news, but first, I am going to tell everybody about the Bone and Joint Institute. boneandjoint.com. They are premier when it comes to your health. And in Franklin, they have a state-of-the-art facility. Austin and I have both visited the doctors that work at Bone and Joint Institute. They have tons of different specialists. If you have a shoulder injury, they got a doctor for you. If you have a hip, they have a doctor for you. A knee and ankle, they have you covered. Don't fumble on your recovery. Everybody, whether we get older and things get out of whack. It just happens, right? Yep. I think we can both attest to that. Go to the Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin. They will take care of you. That is boneandjointinstitute.com.
Guys, last time I can tell you for this, let's have some fun. BetMGM app. Go download it today, right? Risk-free up to $1,000. Keyword risk-free. Tennessee, Ole Miss. Going to be electric, right? Risk-free $1,000. Promo code A to Z Sports. Go put some money on it. You can't lose here. It's a win-win situation for you. Have some fun. BetMGM app. Download it today.
Let's get to Ain't That Good News. All right, Crompton, good news. Do you have your good news of the day? Let's look at the comments real quick. Noah says he's spending the next 3 days in Nashville, getting ready for some Monday Night Football. Bills coming to town. That is good. Aaron says my good news is, as we speak, launching a launch from China. I might learn something. It's some Chinese. Aaron, we know, is into NASA and spacecraft, which I think is fascinating as well. Ed, his son got a promotion in the U.S. Navy.
Love it. That
deserves a golf clap right there. Evan says, good news. Got my first giant sell sign this week. $240,000 copier sell with $18,000 commission. So salute to you.
Yes.
That's great, Evan. Danny says, I'm 1 week away from vacation, going hunting with his dad and uncle in South Dakota for a week. Ain't that good news? Crompton, what is your good news?
Good news is my wife started a new job this past week, veterinary practice manager. And she's worked her rear end off and got to where she's at. So I'm very proud of her for what she's been able to do and been persistent. And, like I said, in our household, we are, everything is combined, so I'm very, very, very proud of her and what she's been able to accomplish. That's excellent. And I remember you've talked a little bit about her love for animals and how many dogs you guys have. They're all sleeping right here.
How many dogs you got? Name your dogs. I love this.
We got 5. And I'll go in order of how they're sleeping. Oakley. I probably shouldn't say their names too loud. Nola, Knoxville. So I kind of have to pick Tennessee this week, right? We got Taco Tuesday and Hakuna Matata.
Love that. Well, congratulations to your wife. Hard work. And I've always said, when you find something that you're passionate at, your life gets better and improves, and you work harder and you get the best out of it. So that is good news. My good news is this hour and 11 minutes that we've been talking about Ole Miss and Tennessee. I will be live in Neyland, shaking in the stands. I will be wearing light blue. I will not be a part of the checker Neyland tradition. My Tennessee friends that provided me the tickets will probably be upset at me, but man, I go to Ole Miss once a year. I go to the Grove, and because the Titans schedule, it just didn't work out. So my one game this year is Ole Miss, Tennessee, and going to be a lot of people that I know down there, and it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm slightly jealous. I really am. Especially it's a night game, dude. It's going to be freaking rocking one way or the other, right? And yes, I want Tennessee to win, obviously. I want to see a down to the wire, you know what I mean, Arkansas game last week where it is just 2-point conversion to win the freaking game. That's what I want to see, because at that point, the stadium, the fans are in it all night. It's going to be fun. I can get memories of those games in Neyland. You're going to enjoy it, man. Have fun, be safe, but yeah, I'm very jealous.
So there are two things. The best part about this game is there's guaranteed to be points, because it's not like you're going to see Iowa against, Wisconsin, right? Where that really could, there will be fireworks.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I don't know, I'm fascinated by uniforms and jerseys. If I was Tennessee, this is what I would do.
Okay.
I would wear the blackout uniform.
I would have saved it. I would have saved it for this week. I wouldn't have worn it.
I'm okay with them not saving it, because you want to win in them, and they were able to do that last week. But you kind of see this sometimes. Maybe they come out in pregame warmups in the orange.
It would be a nice old last jab.
And then you go back into the locker room, you toss on the dark mode, and you come out and really, really rile up that crowd.
What they could do is do exactly what we did in 2009 and go all orange, come back in and do orange pants, black jerseys, and mimic the exact uniform just to throw a last little jab.
I
love it. I would do it in a heartbeat. That would be absolutely unbelievable if they did that. Just as last little showmanship of, you're not going to get to us. All your little Twitter rants, boom, right back at you.
I love that idea. That idea I love.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Jeff says, is it even allowed? It is allowed because and I don't think the rules have changed on this. I guess I was in college and Ole Miss had those all gray uniforms. They did the same thing. They came out in blue uniforms, went back in the locker room and came out with grays. And I was like, and the crowd went crazy.
oh yeah. And that's what we did in 09 on Halloween night. Went out in all orange. We came back in like 5 minutes early and put on the black jerseys. And it was as soon as we walked out in the tunnel, you knew game over.
Do you still have that jersey?
It was just nuts.
Do you still have that jersey?
I wore it on the halftime show last week.
Oh yeah, that's right. Is it?
Oh, it is a very subpar jersey.
Yeah,
because he ordered them on Wednesday, like for a Saturday game, because we all were giving him such a hard time. Like, dude, don't whip out. Come on, don't be that guy. And then on Friday night in the hotel, he showed us, and we're like, "Are you serious?" Like, dude, the team room went absolutely nuts, right? And so he was like, "Listen, don't tell anybody because we don't want it leaking." And playing at night, it was hard. You know what I mean? Because you're so excited. You're a college student. You're so excited. You're like, I want to tell my parents. I want to tell everybody, right? And with the captains, he wouldn't let us go out early, right? Because we always go out early. And so me and Monterio sitting there talking like, dude, this is going to be nuts. Like, so we walk out of the tunnel. So he was like, captains, y'all got to run out of the tee first because you got to get ready to go to the coin flip. So we're sitting there, and as soon as you walk out and the first person saw it, the place went absolutely bonkers. Yes, I used that word. Right.
I just had chills. I have no association with Tennessee.
About it. And that's what I'm saying is like I can vividly remember these moments in Neyland that the opposing teams, dude, I don't care who you are. I don't care how many times you've played, blah, blah, blah. When you come to Neyland for the first time and you are a year off from crowd noise, right? And you've only had one true road game, dude, it's different because our fans legit make a difference. It's lovely for the offense because everybody just kind of shuts up, right? It's great for us. But, dude, our defense, I roomed with Wes Brown, a defensive lineman, and he'd come home after our home games and be like, dude, freaking can't even hear myself think right now because it was always so loud for the defense. You couldn't communicate. They're screaming and yelling and you can't hear each other. Neyland is such an advantage, like home field advantage for a reason. And if they did that, dude, I'm telling you right now, if they did that, sorry, Zach, I'm sorry. But we might put up 70. If they legit did what we did in 09 and come back in and put on black jerseys, done with. Because the crowd and the players will be so hyped that the mental mistakes that happen will be completely washed out of their mind and not think about it because they're so hyped about what's happening.
Yeah, man, I cannot wait. Got over 24 hours before that game, and man, that's going to be wild. Well, Crompton, thank you for joining us today on this Friday. It was awesome. I always love talking Vols, but especially Vols Ole Miss. Some great conversations, some great stories, and we look forward to it. We'll obviously do it again, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night in Neyland in Knoxville. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on Monday. Plus, we got Monday Night Football. No, obviously, game day show on Sunday because of Bills coming to town. So have a good weekend. Have a safe weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Adios.